Just change.
What is going on, Chop Nation? And happy Tuesday to you. Thank you again for tuning in each and every week. We're on episode 11. I cannot believe we've been doing this for 11 straight weeks. Welcome to your favorite sports podcast. As I always say, if it isn't, it soon will be. Welcome to episode 11 of Chop Talk. I am JB along with my coach, Jeremiah James. Again, happy Tuesday to you. We have a full slate today as usual. And we're so excited to just, again, be here today. Jeremiah is once again on location. That should not be a surprise. Where are you at today, my friend?
We are down in the Tampa Bay area. Go Bucks, right?
Go Bucks.
That's your team.
Yes, sir.
Go Bucks.
That's right.
I was talking to my wife about doing one of those. One thing I've always wanted to do, JB, was do one of those pirate cruises. You know, you get on the boat, You go out for 90 minutes, You go see the sunset. And I was like, listen, if I do this, I'm not going to say what it is. If I do this, can we do a pirate cruise at the end of the month? And she's like, yes, we can. I'm like, yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Our daughter will be down, so she'll join us. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are glad he's hardwired in. He's good to go. We shouldn't have any, hopefully any technical difficulties today. Just excited to be here and to have one. We've got a long slate today. We're going to hit some Knowles and Chiefs news as usual, NBA Finals preview, and then the hot topic in the sports world is Caitlin Clark and all that has been going on with her over the last, since she got drafted. So a lot to talk about there. So we're going to have a great conversation today. But first and foremost, we talked last week. We threw in a little tidbit last week of the APD versus AFD basketball game. We showed a great video of our buddy Caleb from Caleb's Firehouse putting in a plug for our basketball game. And as we said in the video, we came out victorious. The AFD representing proud. So we were able to bring home that trophy this year. Jeremiah was there supporting us, bringing us on. So we really appreciate you being out there. And we just appreciate everybody that's listening that was out there. And thank you all for just coming out.
We were getting some good photos and videos of you as well, shooting the J.
Yes, you were. My I didn't get to play that many minutes, but the one shot that I did make that I was able to shoot, 1 for 2 out of the game, you were able to get. So really excited about that you got that one. But overall, great cause as usual. And it did very well. My sister left this morning, head back to Nashville, and was very pleased with how the event went. So again, thank you so much for everybody that attended. And we're just excited. We got to bring home the trophy, nice plaque, nice trophy. So we look forward to making this an even bigger event heading into next season. We have some other local fire departments that are interested in being a part of what we're doing. So that's fantastic. So I know that is going to get even bigger for next season. I have a question
for you.
Yeah.
Where does that trophy go? Is it at your house, on your mantle, next to all the rest of your trophies? Or is it at the firehouse?
No. So we have, over the years, we as a fire department have gained a lot of trophies and have gathered a lot of trophies for a lot of different events, whether it be combat challenges, barbecue competitions, fight for air climb, through the American Lung Association, all that kind of stuff. We have accumulated a lot of different trophies. And so we have some vending machines with some of our EMS supplies in our main station. And so all of our trophies sit up there. So currently that trophy is sitting up top there with our plaque. We're going to hang the plaque somewhere in the station, but the trophy's sitting up there as well.
Excellent.
So no, it's in our main station. So anybody that comes in and out can see it.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're happy to be there, man. I hope you guys raised a lot of money for the foundation. And we'll definitely be back. The question is, are you guys going to go 2-1 over PD, or are they going to get the better of you next year?
When it comes to the fire service, it's all about busting chops, right? We care about each other at the end of the day, but you literally spend 24 hours just listening to everybody just bust the chops of the other person. So we had individuals that were there at this game that were like, you should put next to that plaque as a red brick because you guys were absolutely terrible. The MVP of that game, who you should give the MVP trophy to is PD, because if it wasn't for the fact of them stinking so bad, y'all wouldn't have won. It was Oh,
the
so bad.
crowd was probably 70% fire department for sure.
Yeah.
Based on the applause. You had literally
Well,
a whole crowd of your guys up on that far south end. Like the whole
and earlier in the
you had
game,
your own cheering crew, you know?
yeah,
Your
for
cheering
sure. And
section.
earlier in the game, one of PD's top guys went out with injury. He took an elbow to the face, and he's okay.
Yes.
But he took an elbow to the face and sat out most of the first half. And it came in the second half and was really knocking down some shots. You know, really got them closer into the game, and we still pulled it out. So then that same person was this buddy of mine. He and I are real close, but he loves to bust chops. He's like, that's who the MVP should be, is that guy right there that threw the elbow. Because if that guy was playing in the first half, y'all would have won this game. So y'all need to give the MVP to him for taking him out of the game.
Honestly, your buddy from the police department, whatever his name is, and I remember I told you this. You should send him the video because we have him on video getting smacked, not once but twice.
Well, I sent it to my buddy Connor that hit him.
Oh, you did? Well, no,
yeah.
to him because he should win the Clint Eastwood Award as the toughest guy on the court for that game.
He's a 100%. Tough dude. He's been with PD for a long time.
Yeah, he's tough, man.
He's a tough dude. So great event. Just happy for everybody that came out, and just really, really excited, and that we were able to do that. It was a long time coming. We just took it real serious. You know, we had 13 individuals, and it was just hard to get everybody in the game because everybody was just chomping at the bit, right? You know, we don't take the loss last year lightly, and so we wanted to avenge that loss, and we came in much more determined than PD this year. So I would imagine it'll kind of go like a back and forth type of deal. So anyways, for the sake of time, we want to make sure we hit these topics. So again, as we always like to do, we are Chop Talk, so we love to dive into our recent Noles and Chiefs news. So go ahead, man. You got the floor. What's going on in Chiefs Kingdom this week?
Pretty light week, JB. OTAs are obviously still happening, phase 3. Everyone looks pretty good. Everyone seems to the general consensus is everyone's excited for potential 3-peat. That's what Chiefs Kingdom is talking about. I mean, obviously, that's what commentators are talking about. On top of the fact they had practice, they were invited back to the White House, which is a tradition, as we know, for your championship teams to go. So they met with Biden. They were there on Friday, the 31st of May, hanging out there. Everyone's looking cool. Joe's had their sunglasses on. Did you hear what Kelsey said? Remember last year where he was gonna get up on the mic and then Mahomes grabbed him and pulled him back? Okay, so they played off of that a little bit, and Biden asked him to come up to the microphone, and Kelsey said, as he was standing right next to President Biden at the microphone, he said, "My fellow Americans, it's good to see you all again." Like he was president, right? It's good to see you all again. He said,
that's all he wanted to say last year. That's all he wanted to say.
He said, I'm not going to lie. They said if I came up here I would get tased. So I'm going to go back to my spot.
That's fantastic. I like that. I like that. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
You're not going to give a speech when the president's at the podium, but they put that, quick 30 seconds in, played off last year. I liked it. Everyone's excited to try to go back next year. So
I saw that they gave President Biden a helmet to put on.
A helmet, yeah. He looked a little odd with that helmet on, but they had already given him a jersey last year. So what are we going to get him? A set of cleats next year when we go 3-peat?
No doubt. Listen,
a jock strap.
If there's a piece of protective equipment that guy could use walking around, it's a helmet right now. So I'd be wearing that. If I'm President Biden, I'm wearing that helmet around everywhere at this particular moment. Yeah. So guy's a fall hazard.
He is a fall hazard.
Yeah.
Maybe a set of pads next year.
No doubt.
Number 2, JB, that I wanted to is not really news about the team, but it's a bold prediction by Judy Batista with NFL.com and Sports Illustrated. I'm going to quote her. She said she made 10 predictions for this season, and I'm going to go through some of those at the end of this, but I wanted to quote the one that was relevant to Chiefs Kingdom, okay? She said, "I am out of the business of doubting the Chiefs after we watched their offense look underwhelming for most of the season. Remember the rare burst of frustration we saw from Patrick Holmes.
Yeah.
After his receivers dropped pass after pass, they wound up winning the Super Bowl anyway, she wrote.
It's true.
She said Rashee Rice legal situation bears close watching, but he emerged late last season as a reliable young option, a young weapon. But the Chiefs also drafted the fastest player in the NFL scouting combine, receiver Xavier Worthy, giving Mahomes the kind of explosive big threat play he hasn't had since Tyreek Hill. The defense carried the Chiefs for most of the season until the offense straightened itself out. And with Chris Jones and coordinator Spags back, there's no reason for the defense to take a step back. Neither will the Chiefs, who will make history. And then she said, along with her prediction of a three-peat, she makes a couple others. One of those was that the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'd love to get your take on these, as she said, the Bengals will play in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs, of course, and lose. And then she also said the Chargers would pose an immediate threat to the Chiefs under new head coach Jim Harbaugh. So those are the first two others. Thoughts on those? And there's a couple others I wanted to share before I went to News 3.
Well, not for nothing, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, Jamar Chase fan. T. Higgins, like I'm a fan of them. I know that they lost Joe Mixon, but other than that, I think that I really am hoping that that Joe comes back healthy as ever. It's just that nagging injury, plagued him last season. They didn't get into the groove that they wanted to get into last season. With him kind of dealing with that in and out and so on. So I really do think that if he comes in healthy and he's fully healthy at the start of the season, that they are a force to reckon with. The guy is just tough as nails. He's a competitor. And then when you got guys like Jamar Chase out there, then how do you sit there and argue with that? You know what I mean? So no, I like that assessment. I like that she's putting them there. It's a hard one. It's a tough one, right? Because you're coming off of a season where, you were way below expectations, but dealing with injury. So like, how do you respond? And you saw that even when he would come in and out, you would see a different mentality in the team. And so that's what I think that you see is if he's able to stay happy and healthy, then you see a different mentality with the team going forward, and you see a lot more, and you see a lot of success. As it comes to the Chargers, I'm not going to make any prediction on them. Yeah, I like Jim Harbaugh, but you know how many coaches we've seen jump from college to the pros? Now, the only difference with him is that obviously he was in the pros before and was very successful. So that is the one thing that I will give you is that he was in the pros before. He was successful there, successful in college. So all around, very successful, great coach that I know that he's going to do great things. So with Justin Herbert there, again, a leg up. You got a great quarterback. So now you start to put the tools around him and proper coaching with him. And you see throughout the season, you see flashes of success, right? Of positive success going forward. I wouldn't say greatness per se, but just success to build upon. You see flashes of. So I do think that he comes in and centers that team to gaining further success or better success, higher level of success. But I don't know if they're just like there on the cusp as of yet.
They make the playoffs, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they do.
All right.
Yeah, even though it's his first year, I do feel that they make the playoffs. Well, where I like to keep with my predictions, right? We'll talk about NBA previews here in a few minutes, but I'm still sticking with my Boston Celtics taking it all. I called it before the playoffs began. I called Celtics Nuggets, and the Celtics are still in there. So I got to keep with my prediction. So you're hearing it here first that the Bengals and the Chargers will both be in the playoffs.
Okay. Vegas will be calling you soon, I'm sure.
That's right.
All right. A couple other things that she said that I thought were interesting. Saquon Barkley just misses getting 2,000 yards from scrimmage, but the Philadelphia Eagles return to the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on that prediction?
It's such an underwhelming thing, right? Because obviously I'm a big Bucs fan. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that they don't. That even with Saquon, I will say the same thing. Saquon flashes greatness, and when he's healthy, can do great things. But the guy is made of glass. I've said it before. I'll say it again. His body, as tough as he is and as strong as he is made of glass. He gets hurt very easily. And so Philadelphia took on a great player, but one that is a hit or miss, depending on whether or not he and his hamstrings or ankles or whatever continues to be hurt can sit there and stay healthy. So, we didn't get through one episode without Jeremiah having some connection issues. So we're going to keep moving on from there. Before I go into no news, finishing up what he was talking about, I do feel that the Philadelphia Eagles will go far, but I don't see them trying to head back to the Super Bowl. I just don't see it.
We're having a bit of technical difficulties. Our apologies. I don't know what's going on over here.
While you're figuring out, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some Null news here, just for the sake of time. So one of the questions that I put out there on Facebook, if you have me on Facebook, I put out a question that asked the question: should Null fans temper their expectations coming into this season? Obviously, we know heading into 2023, we brought back about 86 to 88% of our production from 2022. And then coming into the 2023 season with the expectations of winning a national championship. And that's why we had everybody coming back. We were ranked number 1 when it came to returning production heading into 2023. Now, obviously, we lost a lot of that production to the NFL draft. We had 13 people total, 10 people drafted, 3 going unrestricted free agents, or not free agents, but undrafted to teams, and all of which are doing, great jobs as of this particular moment. But we want to talk about the 2024 season and what to kind of expect. We talked earlier in a couple of our other podcasts about the all the different changes to the roster with DJU at the helm at quarterback, our receivers trying to find their way. How many receivers are really going to step up, step out? Malik Benson got injured in the spring, but should be good by the beginning of the season. He was our transfer from Alabama. And so you hope that one of them is able to step up. But it looks more like a team that was a passing team last season will now turn into a running team this coming season with Lawrence Toafili. He's our top guy coming back this particular season. Again, he was the MVP of the ACC championship game. So really excited to see what he brings and a more of a rushing attack this year. Roydell Williams, our running back transfer from Alabama, and Keziah Holmes. He has shown great flashes with Florida State last year. And then Jalen Lucas, our transfer from Indiana, brothers of Ja'Kai Douglas. Ja'Kai Douglas being a receiver that should have great season this coming season. So really excited, even though we are not bringing back all of that production coming into this season,
right, with
what we have going forward. So FSU right now is currently ranked around 21st in strength of schedule. So out of 134 or whatever, FBS teams, certainly up there, and as far as the toughness of the schedule, but doable, to really do well. Their toughest game is going to be against Notre Dame and South Bend on November 9th. So we'll have a majority of the season out of the way by then, but we will play Notre Dame and South Bend. Our notable games are going to be obviously opening up against Georgia Tech in Ireland on August 24th. Certainly wish I could go to that game. And then we have away games throughout the season at Duke, Miami, and Notre Dame. So all 3 teams, Duke, not so much. Duke lost their head coach to Texas A&M, Riley Leonard to the transfer portal. So I don't think that Duke is going to come through having much of it as a productive season this particular season. Miami, obviously with Mario Cristobal, they got their quarterback in Cam Ward, and they're picking up a few transfers here and there. So a lot of buzz, I guess, coming out down in Miami. But with such a disappointing season last season, we'll see how much of a turnaround they can make. But we do play them down in Miami this coming season, and rivalry games are always crazy. So we'll see what happens there. And then of course Notre Dame. Right. We host, though, which is good, UNC, which had a very good season but lost a lot of production. Clemson and UF. Clemson had a very underwhelming season last year, and so did UF, had a terrible season last year. So hosting them at home, those are all 3 tough games on the usual. So we'll see how that goes. But a great season. We're obviously coming into a season where we had new teams enter the ACC from out west. So SMU, Cal, and Memphis. So all three of those teams are now in the ACC and teams that we will play coming into this season. So in 2023, the record of the teams that we play for this particular year is 92-62. So 92-62 is the rankings of the final 2023 season of all the teams that we would play coming into this season. Bill Connolly, who's a writer for ESPN, he ranks FSU 83rd out of 134 programs for returning production. We're only returning about 58% of its production from last season. At one point, heading into last season, we were ranked number 1 with all that we were returning. So much different season coming into this season. The defense ranks 62nd with a 60% returning production rate, while the offense is 81st and with 56% of its production, which isn't surprising. Losing Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson, all of which were, our that was the offense right there. So when losing that high of a percentage of your offense, then you're certainly going to lose, drop some spots there. ACC folk Clemson, they come in at number 54, 64% returning production. And as it returns 79% of its offensive production, 49% on defense. But they're number 54 overall with 64 total percent returning production coming into this season. Excuse me. So, Clemson always looks to rebound. They've been such a prominent team for, many, many seasons, and was not they were expected to contend for the ACC title last season, and did not have a very good season whatsoever. So, so we're certainly Clemson should probably be on the mend coming into the season. We'll see how that works out. Miami, they're actually ranked 45th with 79% returning on offense and 53% returning on defense. So they lost a lot of players as well to the transfer portal, the draft, but then they went and they were able to pick up, like I said, their quarterback of the future, at least for one season, in Cam Ward. Cam Ward was somebody that Florida State was trying to go after, and once he decided to declare for the pros, then we settled and got DJU. And then he decided to not go to the pros, I think kind of looking at his draft stock coming into the season. Obviously, we saw 6 quarterbacks get drafted at the very beginning of the season.
Right.
So, or in this last NFL draft. So I think he kind of looked at that and said, maybe this isn't my draft. I'm going to come back to college. Florida State had already picked up DJU. So they said, okay, he went to Miami. So we will see him later on in this season. And then Florida is ranked number 32, returning 68% of its production with 70% on offense and 66% on defense. So Florida certainly returns a lot of their guys. Florida has, I don't remember what their quarterback's name is. Graham Mertz, I think is what it is. And apparently he showed great flashes, last season, and they're kind of excited to have him for this coming season. So overall, I think that, with the record of the teams that we were playing for last season, I don't think that we have as much to worry about. Mike Norvell is the king of the transfer portal. So obviously there's going to be a different set of schemes. Defensively, we did lose some, but we gained a lot defensively. So defensively, I'm pretty excited about. Obviously, offensively, you can't make up what we lost. And even on defense, losing guys like Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, and some others, you are, trying to play catch up. But at the same time, with Marvin Jones Jr., Patrick Payton, and a few others, we certainly, Earl Little Jr. from Alabama, we certainly were able to hit that transfer portal hard and fill in a lot of those spots. So I'm excited, especially defensively. Offensively, it's obviously remains to be seen how well DJU does. But supposedly so far during the summer, in certain summer practices, he's actually been doing pretty well and picking up the schemes faster than they thought and progressing faster than they thought that he would. So that's always a positive sign. So very, very excited. I don't think that, to answer the question that I asked, I don't think that Florida State fans need to temper their expectations all that much. The season is certainly doable. We do have a lot of people learning a brand new scheme. So overall projections have us with like 1 or 2 losses, either to like a Clemson or a Notre Dame. or or like a Miami and a Notre Dame, depending on how well Miami's season starts to go. But majority of them have at least one loss to Notre Dame. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, a different season with the top 12 and the Power 5 conferences being our champions being in the playoff pretty much automatically. So I think that's I think that still with this the record or the season that we have, the teams that we're playing, the schedule that we have, and the team to which Mike Norvell has put together, he's going to have them very well prepared to make another run. And so, obviously, you know, as a Noel fan, I'm going to tell you that I think that we can sit there and run the table, right? So I'm going to sit there and tell you that we should be able to run the table this year and go forward. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about the season. I think if we can stay healthy, we had a lot of guys, you know, getting injured, and especially just before the spring, but everybody should be ready by the fall. So I think that if everybody could stay healthy and we don't have key players, you know, getting injured and spending a lot of time out, you know, for various amounts of weeks, that I think that, you know, that we should be able to do fairly well. So again, I'm excited about it. I don't think that we should have to temper our expectations all that much. We are Florida State. We just went 13-0. So, you know, maybe an 11-1 season is more likely. I don't think that 10-2 is something. I really do think that with the schedule we have, maybe, you know, either 12-0 or a 11-1 is certainly obtainable with the schedule that we have and the pieces that we have put together. So that's what I got for Noles news heading into this week. So again, I'm really, really excited about that. And just to kind of see, you know, where Florida State goes. So again, it's really, really early on, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I mean, we're here in the summer, but we're in the 80-something days until football season starts. So I'm pretty excited about it.
It's coming quick. Is there a team, JB, you're particularly worried about? Who's the one on the schedule that you're like, I don't want to play them? Is there anybody?
It would be Notre Dame.
Greatly concerns you. Is it the Notre Dame game?
Yeah, it would be Notre Dame. Notre Dame came in 10-3, I believe, either 9-4, 10-3 at the end of last season. They obviously had Wake Forest transfer Sam Hartman at the helm, who's not there. I don't believe anymore. I think he was like in his 7th or 8th year of eligibility. So I think he's all done now. And so they certainly lose a lot of their production. There were some things that, you know, that there were some key players that were brought back, but they lost first round lineman Joe Alt. I forget where Joe Alt went, but he went early on in the first round from Notre Dame. So that was obviously a huge lineman loss to them. And so, I mean, I feel like they're in the same boat. They're returning something similar production wise as Florida State, I feel. And they have a pretty tough strength of schedule. Georgia Tech, you know, you're playing in the first game of the season. So you're getting out the first game jitters. You're not playing it at home. You're playing it in another country. And they have what's funny is that Georgia Tech, who came in, I don't know, 6-7 or 5-8 or something like that. They didn't have a very good record at all. They actually have, according to ESPN, the toughest schedule heading into this season, or like the second toughest schedule. I think the Florida Gators came in as the toughest schedule heading into the season, but then Georgia Tech was up there within the top like 2 or 3 on toughest schedules heading into this season. So not that I know who they're playing, but nevertheless, so I think, so I'm sticking with that. I think that we still have a great opportunity to win the ACC. I don't think that the teams that we brought in, except for Memphis is obviously another tough one. You got Mike Norvell, who has obviously Memphis ties. He helped grow the program to what it is. And there's a couple of ESPN reporters who are trying to put Memphis up there as a possible playoff team coming into the season, when it's like, well,
football, not basketball. We're talking football still, right? Not basketball.
Correct. Yeah, we're still talking about
just
football.
Making sure, you know.
Yeah. So there was a couple of, and they didn't have a bad season last year. Like they even after Mike Norvell left, whoever the coach is now has really still put them in a good position. So I'm really excited about that, and about being able to play them. And you know, we host them, so that should be a good game. And so I'm again, it's going to be interesting. These are you're used to playing the same ACC teams every year. So now coming into the season, you're playing 3 brand new ACC teams that you've never played before, never seen before. Is always kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
And
Being
it's
a
the
UCF
leagues
fan
that
going to
they,
Big 12. I understand.
yeah, the leagues that those particular teams played in, though, right? They play out west. So out west ball is less about defense and more about offense, right? More about less defense, more high flying offense.
That's right.
So, yeah, compared to like an SEC style defense or like a Big 12 or Big 10 style defense, you know, the Pac-10, Pac-12, you know, they're about all about the high flying offenses. So, I think that's probably what they'll still continue to try to do, is more so that. But the ACC is just they're up there a little bit with those tougher defenses. And again, I like Florida State's defense. I think they're really going to gel into something special this season.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be the sleeper that people aren't talking about. Is more so the defense than our offense. I'm praying for our offense, but defensively, I think that they're going to be in a really, really good position. So,
well, if you can pull off a season with only one loss, that's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Losing that high of a production, you know, of a team that was again supposed to win a national championship last season. Yeah. I think that you know, I think that you're really successful at that particular point. And even if say Notre Dame is that one loss, Notre Dame is independent. They're not considered in the ACC. So even at that point, even if that is the one loss, you've gone undefeated. You know, you can still win your conference championship at that particular point.
Right.
Yep. Coming into this season, it's also going to be the first season where it's just number 1 and number 2 playing each other. There's not going to be, I don't believe that the Atlantic Division and Coastal Division will play each other anymore. So it's well, no, I think they did that this year as well. Yeah, they did. It was Florida State and Louisville played each other. But yeah, so that's how that will be. So the ACC is going to be interesting. There's obviously a lot of talk about where Florida State's going to go and this, that, and the other.
Right.
But playing new teams, new formats, 12-team format for the playoffs. Man, I'm just chomping at the bit. I cannot wait to get through this summer and get to the fall. I cannot wait. I would need like 3 hours to talk about all this stuff come the fall. Like it's going to be crazy for me to temper that back.
We literally started a podcast about football after the seasons were over.
Yeah, exactly. And we've managed 11 episodes, right? So almost 2.5 months with no after football.
Almost 3 months,
yeah, without football. And
which goes to show there's plenty to talk about in the sports
There's
world.
Plenty to talk about. You know, in the news, there's plenty to talk about every single day. So
I have one more thing about the Chiefs before we move on, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
This technical difficulty stuff's getting on my nerves. And I don't think it's us. I think it may be who's hosting us, but it is what it is. I don't know if you saw this, but Charles Omenihu, who's our starting defensive end for the Chiefs, he tore his ACL. He was going to tackle Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game. Kind of went on sideways. He was ruled out. He didn't get to play in the Super Bowl. Obviously, he got a ring. He's a big part of our defense, but he posted out on social media a couple days ago about him doing his workouts. And, man, he is looking sharp. He's like – he's just getting back on it, man. Everybody's excited. We need him back in the lineup in the rotation with the rest of the guys. I mean, last season alone, he had, 28 tackles, 18 solo tackles, 7 sacks, which was tied for 51st. In the NFL, he had 2 forced fumbles, tied for 31st. So, I mean, the guy's explosive. We need him back. So I just wanted to share that with Chiefs Kingdom. That it looks like he may be back for the beginning of the season. The way it's looking, that'd be great.
Right on.
So, just thought I'd share.
We don't wish injury on anybody, but if a few of the Chiefs players need to sit out here and there, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, during the regular season. How about bye week? Let's just have them sit out during bye week. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. A couple other predictions since we were toggling in and out of the audio video. She had said that the Cowboys lose the AFC East and hire Bill Belichick for
that. The Cowboys hire him.
That's her prediction.
Is that the Cowboys will hire him?
Another prediction: Derrick Henry, King Henry. Yes, that the Cowboys hire him.
Okay.
Bill Belichick.
And then
just said King Henry goes for 16.
Ooh.
For 1,600 rushing yards with the Ravens. I know that's a lot of yards.
I don't see that. I don't agree with that. I don't see that. You hear it here first. I don't agree with that. because Lamar Jackson went and lost a ton of weight. Like you watch him right now in OTAs, he's lost a ton of weight in order to, he's even said it himself, to be more agile. The guy is ready to run and fly as he usually does, and more agile and ready to move. I know that the Ravens went and picked up Derrick Henry for a reason, and that's in order to help salvage Lamar Jackson and the rest of his career. So that way he doesn't have to sit there and go and take all the brunts and the beatings and get injured. I know that they don't prefer him as a prime quarterback to be running as much as he does.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that much, but at the same time, it's like, you know, that's his offense. If he doesn't have the ability to get out into the open space or run it himself, like that's the offense. That's what he does. Right. So you're not going to be able to turn him into a pocket passer just because you went and pick up Derrick Henry.
Right.
So
I
there's
I disagree with that one for sure.
Yeah. So there's no way that there's absolutely zero way that that he goes and gets 1,600 yards this season, because he's just not going to get the attempts. Like they're not going to be a heavy running team that's just going to rely on him.
Right. No, I agree.
I mean,
a lot of RPOs where he just keeps the ball and runs with it.
Yeah.
A lot of RPO where he doesn't need to pitch it to him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's the same thing as Henry. Yeah. So like when he was with the Titans, right, with Ryan Tannehill. Okay. Ryan Tannehill is not going to sit there. Like they're going to be a run heavy team. Ryan Tannehill is not Lamar Jackson. He's not going to take off and run. He's going to be your pocket passer. So, and you're going to be a run first team. But like, that was why I was like really surprised. Like when Julio Jones left Atlanta to go to Tennessee, I was like, why? Like you literally just left a Matt Ryan, although near the end of his career, was still getting you a lot of yards. And you went to a team that is run heavy, that is under no circumstances a passing team. Like you just went there for the money. And what happened? He completely fell off and did absolutely nothing in Tennessee. And it was just, so moves like that were surprising to me. I'm not surprised that he wanted to go to a winning team by any means. Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I'm all about that. But I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. The last one I thought you would get a kick out of is because it's, kind of references, has to do with the Bucs, but Kirk Cousins keeps Michael Penix Jr. on the bench in Atlanta, but Russell Wilson gets benched for Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. Relevant to the Bucs. Okay. All right.
What does that have to do with the Bucs?
I mean, NFC, the Falcons.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So I don't, Kirk Cousins he's the guy, right? They got Michael Penix in there just to learn from him. And he's going to be the guy that they want for another 3 years to put them into a prominent position. They paid him all that money. So that's what their plan is. Their plan isn't to sit there and just try to work on getting Michael Penix into the lineup halfway through this season. I don't believe that whatsoever. I believe that they gave Kirk Cousins the money that they gave him for how many years they gave him, because that's what they want to do, is they want to groom Michael Penix to take over when Kirk Cousins is done. And it's going to be a couple of year investment. It's not like, hey, because we chose you 6, 7, 8 overall, that, we're just trying to work on getting you in and you'll be the starter somewhere at the beginning of the season, halfway through the season. So I don't believe that whatsoever. Russell Wilson, I mean, he was already starting to kind of fall off a little bit in Seattle. And then you get another opportunity with some top guys, some tough receivers in Denver, and just stink. And it's just, it was sad because, I like the guy. I really do. Yeah. I think he's a great competitor. I think he's a tough guy, and has a great attitude about him. But Broncos country, let's ride straight into the ground is kind of what happened there. So I don't see the Steelers like trying to Justin Fields ends up being the starter at some particular point fairly soon. Like they may start the season with Russell Wilson, but I guarantee you at some particular point, not too far into the season, they switch to Justin Fields.
More than likely. 100%. What week 4 to week 8 you watch? You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. So, all right, we're looking at time here. Let's move on. We got a couple things that we want to share. I have a joke for you. For the sake of time, I wanted to get into this Caitlin Clark conversation. That's the hot buzz of the sports world is Caitlin Clark and all that's what's going on with the WNBA. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot that I wanted to share about that and also get your opinion on. But one thing that I thought was funny is maybe next week we'll go over this. Obviously, this is Pride Month. Not that we necessarily support that, but this is considered Pride Month. And Katy Perry, she completely stripped apart Harrison Butker's commencement speech, audio-wise, completely broke it apart, video-wise, completely tore it apart, and put it excuse me, and put it together to support the gay and inclusive agenda. And so you have to go and check that out. But in combination with that, so Jason Sudeikis, we all know who Jason Sudeikis is. He's a great, funny guy, right? Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah.
He came out with a joke the other day, and I thought it was hilarious. I had to share it here because it was pretty funny, and it had to do with Harrison Butker's speech. He said, speaking to Travis Kelce, he said, when are you going to make an honest woman out of Taylor? Taylor doesn't need to be working anymore, and your kicker agrees with that. I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one from old Ted Lasso over there. So again, maybe we'll get a little bit deeper into that one next week.
It's funny.
But we were going to touch on this topic last week and what's going on. So obviously, if you didn't know who Caitlin Clark was before, you probably do now if you're just in the realm of sports, right? So Iowa graduate, the all-time leading scorer, both men and women in college basketball history. She passed Kelsey Plum for women's, and then passed Pistol Pete Maravich overall to become the all-time leading scorer in NCAA basketball history. She was drafted number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever. And yes, to the credit of other of those rookie individuals, such as Angel Reese, obviously the two of them went back and forth. The last 2 seasons, they played each other in the tournament, and they played each other again. They played for the title the year before, which LSU beat them and won the national championship. Right. Then Iowa beat them in the Final Four, in the semis, heading into the national championship game against South Carolina. And again, Iowa lost. But none of that to downplay who Caitlin Clark is and what she's done for women's basketball in general. And so now coming into the WNBA, she is the light. She's all eyes on her and who she is. And she's taken a lot of slack for that. Not for her own doing whatsoever. It's not as if she's out there running off with her mouth or anything of that nature. People just love to hate on her and love to hate the in women's sports. They've always cried for this pride, right? And the money and the viewership and this, that, and the other. Finally, it's coming to them, and they don't want to have to bow down and say thank you, to a degree, that that she has helped do this, that she's really put women's basketball on the map a lot more than some. Now, I'm not downplaying other women that have in the past. I'm a fan of a lot of the individuals in the WNBA, Sabrina Ionescu, Diana Taurasi, Kelsey Plum, like those women really paved the way for in later ones, right? You have some of the early ones like Maya Moore, Candace Parker, Rebecca Lobo. Like you have women all the way back. I remember the Rebecca Lobo Connecticut days. They paved the way for a long period of time, for women's sports, but we're still struggling with getting viewership and support. And now Caitlin Clark comes along and really puts women's basketball on the map, and people are hating all over the place.
Angel Reese literally said, these people are not here just for her. They're here for all of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm probably taking one of your quotes you're going to go through, but she literally said that standing next to one of her teammates. So
now listen, I'm not a fan of, I'm a fan of Angel Reese's game, but that's as far as it goes. Right. She wants to go back and forth with playing the villain. I'm okay to be the villain. I'll take on this role. Then she goes crying when she loses that she's viewed as the villain and that it's been rough on her in her life for 2 years. And so all she does is just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She'll cry about it, but then want to take on the role of villain and start running off with her mouth and doing things. Then she'll cry about it. She'll go back and forth. So I'm not. So her, as far as her game is concerned, yeah, I completely agree. She won a national championship with LSU. She goes and they go back and forth and create this this topic of conversation and this rivalry with Iowa and Caitlin Clark, and it's a great thing. And so, absolutely, I completely agree with her. It's not just Caitlin Clark out of all rookies that have really brought forth, women's basketball, but she has to admit that if there is no Caitlin Clark, then there is not women's basketball in the presence the way that it is now. Under no circumstances is she going to be viewed as Caitlin Clark. Now, of course, that brings up a whole other list of hodgepodge, right? Jemele Hill, she used to be an ESPN reporter. She went crazy. She continues she just wants to do nothing but race bait. That's my opinion. She just wants to race bait. So she said Jemele Hill, or she stated that Clark being straight, white, and from Iowa is making her popular, which is the dumbest thing I think that I've ever heard.
Or maybe it's because she shoots her 3-pointer from 33 feet away and nails it almost every single time.
Maybe she's just a polarizing figure.
That is impressive. I don't care who you are. It's equally more impressive that she's, doing the women's sports.
Why do you think
that you don't see that very often?
Yeah,
you don't see it.
No, why do you think everybody likes Steph Curry and wants to be like Steph Curry? Yes. Because the guy and his ridiculous shots that he makes, people love it.
Far out. Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
People love it. People love to see polarizing and entertaining figures, and that's what she has been. It's not some random whatever, white basketball player that you are feeling sorry for that's not doing very well and is taking a bunch of heat. No, this is a superstar. And I don't care if she was white, black, Asian, or whatever. If she was doing the same exact thing that she's doing now, she would still be a polarizing figure, even if she was a straight female from Iowa. She could have been a straight black female from Iowa, and it had presented in her character the same way as Caitlin Clark is now. And I know that unpopular.
And if she had broken the records and she was doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, same exact thing.
It would still be phenomenally impressive.
100%.
It's athleticism at its highest degree. It's impressive.
Yeah. So just the other day, and this is kind of like just adding onto the controversy of it all, right? So she takes a really, really big hit the other day. They played the Chicago Sky. Sky, they drafted Angel Reese in the first round. So playing Angel Reese. And I believe her name is Kennedy Carter, I think is her last name. And I know Kennedy is her first name. I guess Clark and her prior to this play were kind of yapping a little bit. Maybe Clark said something to her or whatever. So on a non-basketball play, coming in from out of bounds, she just runs over and just waylays Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's standing there waiting to get the ball from out of bounds. She just comes and just mows her over, right?
Okay.
The WNBA went back and looked at this play afterwards and actually changed the call. It was originally called as just a regular common foul. How? I don't know. How the refs didn't go back and review this, I don't know. But nevertheless, they didn't. But the WNBA did. And they really came down on Chicago for all that they did. But Kennedy Carter goes and lays her out. Then after the game, tells reporters that she doesn't want to field any Caitlin Clark questions. Angel Reese, when she goes to the sidelines after she mows over Caitlin Clark, is high-fiving her, hugging her, smiling, all this kind of stuff because of what she did. So for as much as Angel Reese wants to sit there and say that, she's cool and she has no issues with Caitlin Clark, I don't buy it for 1 second. Right. She actually came out and after Chicago Sky, after one of their wins, and she said, and that's on getting a win in a packed out arena, not just because one player on a charter flight. Now, mind you, all of what the polarizing figure that Caitlin Clark is and the viewership and the money and all that kind of stuff has helped establish the WNBA being able to get charter flights to travel rather than just the regular, domestic flights, which is what they've been forced to do. Kennedy Carter said, I grew up with all brothers. All we did is fight and argue. I love the hate more than the love. What don't y'all understand? I'd rather you hate me than love me. And I mean that on my dead aunt. That's what she said. And
I just saw while you're looking that up. I just saw this. I didn't get a chance to see this, JB. And is this the one where she's standing for the inbounds pass?
Yes.
She just basically lowers her shoulder for no reason. The game wasn't even going on. The game was paused.
Yeah.
They were inbounding the ball.
And she
basically lowers her shoulder like it's a football move.
Right.
Like a linebacker. Yeah,
she went on to say
that's obviously flagrant.
Right. And so she went on to say, and that's that on that, because beside 3-point shooting, what does she bring to the table, man? So again, so much hate for no reason. They are just straight jealous of what she's doing. And, I love me some Charles Barkley, right? So on Inside the NBA, on TNT, Charles Barkley was talking about it. And he said, unquote, I'm going to censor a couple of the words. He said, you women out there, y'all petty, man. You should be thanking that girl for getting y'all's butts private charters, all the money and visibility she's bringing to the WNBA.
Yep, that's right.
He said, don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she accomplished, give her flowers. Yeah. And I completely agree. It's like, why? Like, you don't have to sit there and just bow down to her and just talk about her for no reason, but just don't make it personal. They'll come out and hate on her just to hate on her.
Yeah.
Like, you're hating all the Caitlin Clark talk. Okay, so be it. You don't like it, but don't be petty about it. Just absorb what you absorb and move on. So,
can I add something here real fast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just super quick, but Kennedy Carter, Angel Reese, folks like this who, they're feeling the jealousy of their bones. People are talking bad about Clayton Clark. There are two scriptures that come to mind that I thought we would share because this is a faith-based show. One's obviously Old Testament, one's New Testament. I'll start with the New Testament one. And James 3:16 comes to mind. It says, wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there is disorder and everything that is evil, right? Kind of goes to the heart of what we're discussing. And then obviously Proverbs 14:30 says, a peaceful mind gives life to the body, but jealousy rots the bones. So to all you haters out there who do not like Caitlin Clark, I need you to go read some scripture because there's a lot of scripture out there about jealousy. You need to be reading
because it just doesn't make a lot of sense for you to do because it's like,
don't rot your own bones. Leave it alone, right?
Yeah. So here are some of the stats, her stats and the stats of the league. You know me, I'm a stats guy. So here's some stats already 10 games into the regular season for them.
Yeah.
Clark tied Diana Taurasi for the league lead with 24 3-pointers made in the month of May. Okay. And Clark was second in assists at 59 and tied for second in free throws made at 42. Wow. She was the rookie of the month for the month of May. Yeah. She's currently 13th in the WNBA in scoring average of 17.3 points per game. Okay. She's fourth in assists. She currently leads the team and the Indiana Fever in points per game, assists per game, and blocks per game as a guard.
Blocks? Really?
Blocks.
Wow.
So yes, they are. I think they won their second game against the Sky. So before I wrote this last week, they have 2 wins now. But they're like second to last in the East still. The WNBA is seeing a 93% growth in ticket sales opposed to last season. 93%.
That's not just the team she's on. That's the whole WNBA.
That's the whole WNBA.
So everyone's feeling the effect, the Caitlin Clark effect.
And that's what they call it. But like I said, you've got the individuals like the Angel Reeses that are like, no, they're watching it because of me too. I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that polarizing figures like yourself and Caitlin Clark, just being the two of you, maybe 2 or 3 of you, but more so the 2 of you are bringing in viewership because people want to see.
Yeah.
Clark's signing has also meant Fever away games are the 10 best selling games of the season so far. So they're away games against the teams that they're playing. Why? Right. Caitlin Clark effect, period.
Yeah. She's a generational player people want to see.
Right.
You want to be able to tell your kids you saw her play a game.
You want to see
and your grandkids.
with the exception of one of the Las Vegas. I think it's Las Vegas Aces. I think it is. StubHub adds that the average price of tickets sold across teams in the WNBA jumps 80% when the Fever are in town. That's 2-8 team.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence.
A 2-8 team comes to town.
2-8 team. Causal effect right there, JB.
Yeah, a 2-8 team comes to town and your ticket prices jump 80%. Okay, there's no Caitlin Clark effect there.
Yeah,
the average ticket price.
Real.
Yeah, the average ticket price for one of the Fever's away games sits at $175, the highest of any team.
Wait, $175 for an away game to watch a 2-8
The average
team?
ticket price for one of the Fever's away games sits at $175, the highest of any team.
I remember when they used to go outside and go down to the bars to try to get somebody to watch the WNBA game.
Exactly.
We would never pay for a ticket. They would just give it to us. Here, come
Other NBA teams are also benefiting from signing highly touted college athletes. Mm-hmm. According to StubHub's data, the Sky have tripled their ticket sales from last season, with fans eager to see the new signings of Angel Reese and Kamilla Cardoso. Kamilla Cardoso was the center for South Carolina, dominant figure. She dominated Iowa in the national championship game, and a great figure. So, again, I'm not doubting that there are figures such as Kamilla Cardoso and Angel Reese and a couple of others that are making a giant impact for their teams. Like, people want to come and watch Angel Reese. Nobody's doubting that. But just the fact of the matter is that if there is no Caitlin Clark, you don't benefit as even anywhere close than what you are now with the Caitlin Clark effect.
I agree with you, sir, and I go a little bit further, saying there is no Angel Reese effect. If Caitlin Clark did not exist in the WNBA, it would be back to business as usual in terms of ticket sales, in terms of away games, right? She's not that kind of figure that's going to pull in butts in the seats, people watching the games on TV. She's just not that type of. So to answer her question during that presser, no, they are just watching her.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they're not watching all y'all.
She talked about it's starting from the national championship game the year prior when the two of them played one another. Yeah, because you weren't playing. If
Everyone
you're not
loves
playing
that story, that rivalry, right?
Game, yeah, if you're not playing Caitlin Clark in that game and you're just playing somebody else that's not Caitlin Clark, then you're not nearly getting the viewership in the talk as you would if, like you did.
It's so the Larry Bird, Michael Magic Johnson, right?
Yeah,
Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. The rivalries is what people want to see.
And you play them again in the Final Four game, heading into the national championship game. Winner goes, and now you got a great rivalry again. Again, you play any other team other than Iowa and Caitlin Clark, and nobody's caring. Nobody's caring, and it's nothing against her, but you don't have as many people caring if it's not watching Caitlin Clark.
Has nothing to do.
And so all of these people that want to play the
Iowa,
all these people that want to play the race card, it just frustrates me because all they want to do is just to keep, race and racism a thing. That's all they want to do is just to keep race and racism a thing. Like, I mean, I don't know what the average demographic
it helps
is.
If you keep racism alive, it keeps your viewership going, doesn't it? Someone like what was her name? Jemele Hill.
Yeah.
Jemele Hill. She keeps her viewership going, talking about racism.
I know. And it's just, again, it's mind-blowing to me, the culture that's gone on, right? I mean, Stephen A. and LeBron, a lot of other people have stepped up to the plate to really defend her because, like, they understand it and they get it. And it's like, and especially LeBron, who's all about, the left agenda, if you will. He comes out in support of her. And it's like, well, yeah, again, nobody is trying to downplay the skills and abilities that those like the Caitlin Clarks, or not the Caitlin Clarks, but the Angel Reeses, and I think Cameron Brink, I think is her name as well. She was a second pick in the draft. Nobody's trying to downplay their abilities whatsoever. They bring forth as rookies a lot of viewership, and together these high profile rookies are really putting women's basketball on a map. But if you go across this country, this world, if anybody that has ever even heard of women's basketball and said, who do you think is the most polarizing figure in WNBA basketball? The highest percentage of individuals is going to be Caitlin Clark, period.
Of course.
That's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with race.
It'll be a distant second as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, so that's just kind of a topic right now. The Fever coach is, irate at this particular moment because they just feel like she's taking a beating. Now, there have been a couple of old school WNBA players that have come out and talked about how the WNBA has always been a physical league, right? They've always been physical. And so the physicality that she's experiencing is nothing new that doesn't go on in the WNBA. All right, I get it to some degree, but not really. Some of these plays, like, Kennedy Carter the other day, whatever her last name is, I forget.
It's Carter. Yeah.
Yeah. So that under no circumstances is like, it's not a basketball play. That's just not like a tough play that's going on. Now, mind you, there's a couple of other plays that have happened to other players. Like Angel Reese got clocked the other day. She was up underneath the basket. She got completely drugged and thrown to the ground. So she's taken a couple hits as well. But it's just one of those things where people just see Caitlin Clark and they just want to hate. They just want to knock her out. And it's like, why? I just don't understand. Like, you're having, if it's not for a couple of these rookies, more so Caitlin Clark, helping put women's basketball back on the map stronger than it's ever been before, and all these ticket sales, you've got arenas that are selling out, doubling in ticket sales, able to bring in more money for you, which is all that you've been crying about and all that you've been asking for is more money, more viewership. That's how you get it. That's how you get your more money, your bigger contracts, is by viewership and sponsorship and people and butts in the seats. That's how you get bigger. And so, yeah, it's just been it's been an interesting thing to see the difference, and kind of how like the WNBA and the NBA kind of process their things.
You can always do something that's free and go read James 3:16, not John 3:16, James 3:16, and Proverbs 14:30. Those are free. Everyone's got Bibles. And
that's right. Everybody has Bibles.
Don't hate on other people. It's against what God wants us to be doing.
Absolutely. And that's such a good thing to add there, as we start to close the show is, as much as it is, unpopular opinion, right? But the truth of the matter is that just because you may be a Christian and have Christian values does not mean that you lose your level of competitiveness. There are a lot of great prominent figures in all aspects of professional sports that are strong in their faith and are still very competitive individuals. But and listen, as somebody, and just like yourself, somebody that is competitive myself and out there playing, sports myself, you all have the tendency to kind of let competition overtake you a little bit, right? And it's understandable. You're out there, you're playing sports, it's competitive, and it happens to the best of us. But at the end of the day, yeah, right. But at the end of the day, we have an understanding of the way that we should act, and we try to make it a point and purpose in everything that we do. And that's where that culture needs to go. Is this hating and this jealousy and all that kind of stuff needs to go away. We need to start getting before the Lord, even as athletes, and understanding the mindset that we should have, and that we're always not going to be perfect in it, but understanding the mindset that we should have and how it will positively affect our lives as well as those that are around us. So please take heart to those scriptures that Jeremiah read, especially if you're an athlete, and go look at them, because that is this kind of mindset is kind of what hurts the growth of certain sports. So like this right now is unnecessary. There's a lot of WNBA players that feel like this is just a small narrative that they've just blown up and turned into a mountain from a molehill, because they don't think that there's hardly any players or teams that are putting so much of an emphasis on this topic as just the media is. And they think that it just kind of overshadows what the league is doing. And that could be true. I don't know that to be fact. But at the end of the day, it's all a matter of perception, right? That what do we see? And we form our opinions based on perception. So anyways, so that is what we have for today. We're running to our unusual time here on the show, But a lot of great topics, a lot of great stuff for today. Again, please excuse our technical difficulties as usual. You know, we are 11 episodes into this, but we're busy individuals that are doing the best that we can to put in the time and the effort. And we sponsor ourselves with everything that we are doing and promoting right now. And so we're trying to do the best that we can to give you guys the best sound and production we can to keep you guys engaged. And we're working on it weekly. So just continue to ride with us. We know that we're going to improve. Continue to ride with us, support us, subscribe to our channel. And again, as always, I'm going to put this up here on the banner for anybody who is watching. You can check us out at Chop-Talk-Podcast on YouTube. So if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms and you want to see our beautiful faces, you can go onto our YouTube channel at Chop-Talk-Podcast. And if you have any questions of any kind, you can email us at choptalknation@gmail.com. So before we sign off, is there anything else you want to add there, Mr. Jeremiah?
I do. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show. I want to do a quick shout out to my in-laws. Speaking of upgrading our equipment, this new microphone was given to me on my birthday a couple weeks ago by my in-laws. So thank you to the Daniel family for this. I have the exact same mic that JB has now, and he has
the
best in the business.
That's right.
So now thank you guys for the microphone, and to everyone out there and Chop Nation, stay prayed up as always.
Stay prayed up as usual. Great words today. And again, we love listener interaction. We'll put stuff up on our Facebook page for you to reach out to when it comes to topics. So we love listener interaction. Again, thank you for all of your everything that you guys share. Email us right on YouTube or right on Facebook about for us to talk about. You guys have given us topics. You guys have given us responses to topics. And we certainly appreciate it. So continue to do that. We're going to continue to reach out to you. We'd love to stay connected to you all. So again, that is our show for today, episode 11. Again, thank you for riding with us. You guys have a beautiful rest of your week, and God bless you.
Take care.